You know, kindness is such a rare commodity, but it's really easy to practice. It's just doing the best with what you have, where you are, and, you know, to the person that needs it the most. And, you know, one person being kind, it's not enough, because my humanity is tied to your humanity. It is with that admonition that we welcome you to the Morning Brief on Channels Television. I am Bukola Kooker, and Jeffrey and Kaidi are here as well. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. That was beautifully said, I should say. We can't overemphasize why it is important to be kind. It's something we take for granted these days. But let's start on that note. Let it be a kind Wednesday. Welcome to the show. I'm Kayode Okikiolu.
It sounded like memory verse. Sounded like, what is the moral lesson of the lecture we had today? That's what Bukola did. Welcome to the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Taking up from what you said, I had an experience yesterday. I
knew that you were going to have another shocker for us.
I stepped into the market to buy something really small. I'm not going to say what it is. And I felt like I was cheated by the market woman. So first up, I bought, and I knew the balance that I needed, but she wanted to cut my money by a few amounts. And I said, no, that's not the amount. Give me my right balance. She gave me, and there was a little fraction left. She gave me a product in the place of that balance. Now, why I suspect foul play is the fact that I asked for 7 pieces of that product. She actually gave me 5. I didn't check. So it's when I went home, I wanted to stock it in the fridge, and my wife actually sent me a like, oh my God. So you wanted to take my money, and you actually reduced my product. So that's not kind. Bukola is talking about kindness. Don't do that next time. That was not a mistake. I almost jumped into the car and drove back. I said, because of this small money, I forgive.
Jeffrey, I hope you didn't intimidate the poor woman. You know the realities of the current economy, so things may just be different, you know. From
no, because I actually said 7.
Okay.
And when we're arguing about the balance, she said it's 7. So how did you give me 5? I wanted to collect extra money, and oh boy.
And you don't want to tell us what you bought. Is it ugu?
No.
Is it green?
No, I'm going to keep that to myself.
Yeah, no. Maybe children are watching, so it's important to keep it to yourself.
But I keep it to myself.
But, you know, the point is this, Jeffrey.
You know, Jeffrey will love your story, even though you refuse to tell us what that item is.
2 things that came up.
I haven't even cheated before. And
I think it's something we need to talk about. Yeah. Some people seem to have a penchant for just want to cheat people. They want to get ahead of a queue. They want to, just essentially cheat people. I think it is wrong. It's not in our DNA. That is not who we are. Yes, it may have been something we learned along the way, thinking, oh, let me take advantage of the other person, but it is wrong, right? So whether you're a market person, yes, things are tough, but things will get better for you by cheating others. Absolutely. You don't get joy by making other people sad. It doesn't make sense. And it ties into what the president said, that kidnappers should be treated as terrorists now. If kidnappers have been terrorizing people, they can as well be classified under that term terrorist. So does that mean the modus operandi would change with kidnappers? It's a big question. Maybe shoot on sight.
Because my wife actually said it's because I'm a man, you know. And that's why.
So men are usually unsuspecting of what
I just
prices
trusted her.
are.
I just take my thing, big boys, bounce. And I was humiliated out. I just said, oh, Lord, what is this?
Women actually say when you want to send men to the market, don't just write a list. Write a list and put pictorial representation of those things, and then write the quantity. And literally stay on the phone while they're buying it so that they don't make mistakes.
No, that's not the price.
Yeah, exactly. Jeffrey, you have lent credence to that school of thought.
It's just the fact that women would have done due diligence to check what's in the bag to be sure it's complete. But as a guy, just give me, let me bounce. And I bounced, and I bounced out, and bounced back,
Well, so you see, Wednesday is taking a life of its own already with the lesson on kindness. Let's be kind to one another. Speaking of lessons, there's so many lessons that we're going to glean from today's edition, starting with what we have for you on our lineup. So whether it's the removal of fuel subsidy, the debate over its partial return, CBN's monetary policies, or our core national values as a nation, or if you like, a nation state, the current narrative is that the National Orientation Agency appears visibly absent in communicating the policies of the fairly new administration with well-articulated public enlightenment programs. So today we seek understanding of the issues as the man at the helm of affairs joins us on the program.
Absolutely, and that's not all. 14 years after it was suspended over security reasons, the Taraba state government is set to revive that historic one-year fishing and cultural festival. This sounds like excitement laced with promised reward for Taraba's homegrown aquatic delicacy. Still, Taraba offers more tourism adventure. You can see that on your screen.
Come on.
Whether it's Mambila, Plateau, the tea, and so much more. Beautiful. Today, we'll explore all of this tourism potential and possibilities in Taraba, the country's literal nature's gift.
Hands down, Taraba is beautiful. I'll be biased here. Taraba is beautiful.
Oh, awesome.
Goodness me, I look forward to that. But guess what? We even have more for you on this show. It is unarguable that music is a universal language with its message traveling beyond borders to connect hearts and soul. But still, it has proven to do even much more. And one man who is making the most of his gifts and callings by reaching out to the young at heart is our guest today. Preye Odede joins us to serenade and inspire us with his soulful tunes.
I'm looking forward to that already because I love Preye Odede's new tunes, beautiful tunes.
Dear business sound.
Indeed. So you should not miss any part of that. And of course, the entire 2-hour bumper package that we have for you. Of course, we're also looking forward to your comments and contributions on the program. So you can start posting now at X on all platforms, X, Facebook, Instagram. Also, you can follow us on our brand new social media platforms. And don't forget to send in your videos to our WhatsApp number. Please don't call, but you can send your messages and your videos, and we'll be waiting to amplify your voice on the program.
Absolutely. So do not call that number, as she said. Just send your videos and we'll be here to make sure you're heard, you're seen. It's a community show. Bukola.
Speaking of what you'll be contributing to, we'll be taking your top stories right after this time out so we can start engaging. So start typing already. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I like that,
Welcome back to the program, and we're starting the morning brief top stories with the economy as the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria confirms the projection of experts with another hike in benchmark interest rate by 200 basis points to 24.75% from 22.75%, and it's the second increase this year. Furthermore, the Apex Bank retained the cash reserve ratio at 45%. Asymmetric corridor of the MPR was adjusted to 100 basis points / 300 basis points, with Nigeria's headline inflation surging to 31.7% in February. The committee found it necessary to hike MPR rate again, as expected by experts.
The considerations of the committee at this meeting focused on the current inflationary pressures and the need to anchor inflation expectations, as well as ensure sustained exchange rate stability. These considerations underscore the importance of the CBN's commitment to the price stability mandate and the need to urgently bring inflation under control to ensure that purchasing power of ordinary Nigerians is restored in the short to medium term. Members noted the continued rise in headline inflation, driven largely by food prices because of supply shortages and high costs of logistics and distribution. The committee, therefore, was of the view that addressing food insecurity is key to containing current inflationary pressures. On this note, members commended the ongoing efforts of the federal government towards addressing food insecurity. Some of these measures include the provision of various palliatives, release of grains from the strategic reserves, distribution of seeds and fertilizers, as well as farm implements for dry season farming.
And amid increasing pressure on the armed forces arising from security concerns, the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, is asking the military to reconsider its role in resolving civil disputes in order to focus on its constitutional mandate. He urges the military to go further in the analysis and investigations into the recent killing of 17 soldiers in Okwama in Delta State in order to avert a reoccurrence. General Rabo made the remark while addressing participants at a 3-day Joint Task Force Commanders Conference organized by the Chief of Defense Staff in Abuja.
This conference provides an avenue for a comprehensive evaluation of the implementation of the decisions reached during the maiden conference and other emerging issues with a view to addressing the threats to our national security. Importantly, I would like to recognize the uncommon sacrifice of the officers and men who were killed in Okwama in Delta State and all others who have paid the supreme price.
The perpetrators of this heinous crime must be made to face the full wrath of the law. To forestall future occurrence, therefore, there must be further conversations on the limits to aid to civil authority. As we encourage non-kinetic operations and community engagements, I believe that it is necessary for the armed forces to curtail the apparent descent to see-finish syndrome. That's my coinage.
The question is, without the operations, the non-kinetic operations of the army in combating kidnapping and terrorism, what happens, to residents, particularly in the north? Of course, that's bound to generate more talking points in the coming days. But in the meantime, a former federal commissioner of information and elder statesman, Chief Edwin Clark, has condemned the killing of the 17 soldiers in Okwama community, describing the act as barbaric, which must be punished. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Chief Clark also condemned the invasion of his country home in Kiagbodo and that of his father in Ughelli, allegedly by the military over allegations of harboring one of the suspects involved in the heinous act in Okwama.
I've been very, very upset that army officers, 17 of them, 4 of them are officers, should be brutally killed in a country like our own, not at the war front, not counteracting any dangerous group, killed in cold blood. I said, no. We must look for these bastard people, these people who are barbaric, wicked, unpatriotic, evil. So I was therefore surprised when I got a call from the general, is it Absalom or something like that, asking me, apologizing to me. So I thought somebody died. No, he said we don't look our tract record, track your room, and that someone was there. I said, but how can that happen? Anyway, I have no house in Ughelli. 2, my father had a compound in Ughelli. It was later I discovered that it was not properly briefed. It was my house my living house in Capital, with all security doors and everything. They don't even ask for the keys.
Staying with security matters, this time in Zamfara State, 10 persons have been reported killed and about 12 others abducted after bandits attacked Gidanzuma community under Bungudu local government area. Eyewitnesses told Channels Television that the bandits stormed the area on Sunday night and started shooting indiscriminately, taking the people by surprise. And when contacted, spokesperson of the State Police Command, ASP Yazid Abubakar, said he was yet to get information about the attack. In a similar incident, bandits operating around Muhai Forest also on Sunday in an attempt to invade Safe town, the headquarters of Safe local government area, killed a member of the Zamfara State Community Protection Guards. This happened as the personnel of the security outfit alongside the military engaged the bandits in a gunfight. Now, there's more on security. The military says it has released 230 suspected Boko Haram terrorists, made up of 219 male and 11 female, after profiling them in Borno State. A source within the military told Channels Television that the suspects were cleared after it was established that they were not terrorist volunteers, but were conscripted against their will. It was further gathered that the 230 suspects were handed over to the Borno State government through the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development for reintegration. And still in the north, the Bishop of Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Bishop Matthew Kooker, is challenging the federal government to demonstrate what he terms a clear commitment to addressing the challenge in the region. He criticized what he perceives as inadequate readiness of the government to effectively deal with the long-standing issues which have remained unresolved for decades. He spoke with Channels Television at an event in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
It is clear that the federal government at the highest level knows what is going on. At least the intelligence community has an idea. There are key Nigerians who are saying quite openly that they know more than we think the rest of us know. And I think that it's a business of the federal government to find out those who claim to know where the bandits are and those who are collaborating and cooperating with the bandits. I mean, it's the greatest humiliation of our nation. We cannot. The psychological impact on this on our children is unacceptable. So for me, it's something that the security agencies, in collaboration with those that they say, the people who have said quite openly, okay, that they know what is going on. And I think the federal government has the capacity to go after those people.
Well, as we head to the courts now, call this a rewriting of history, or you can also call it setting the record straight. The Port Harcourt Division of the River State High Court has ruled that Mr. Celestine Omehia is not a former governor of River State and as such is not entitled to the pensions meant for former governors and their deputies. After the expiration of the tenure of former Governor Peter Odede, Mr. Omehia was elected and sworn in as governor of River State on May the 29th, 2007 on the platform of the PDP. Following the legal battle that trailed that election, the court ruled that Mr. Rotimi Amechi was the validly elected candidate of the PDP and was eventually sworn in as governor. However, during the tenure of Mr. Nyesom Wike as governor of the state, he enacted a law recognizing Mr. Omehia as former governor. But in 2023, he withdrew the recognition and asked Mr. Omehia to refund all pensions earned, prompting Mr. Omehia to approach the court, demanding that he be recognized as a former governor of the state. Delivering judgment, however, on the matter on Tuesday, Justice Daketi Makio, however, held that the counterclaim by the state government asking Mr. Omehia to repay 695 million naira was lacking in merit, as he did not compel anyone to pay him the money. And a quick check on business. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, has described the unverified FX backlog as illegal. The Apex Bank governor made this known on Tuesday after the two-day Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja. According to Mr. Cardoso, all valid transactions have been settled following the audit by Deloitte. And outside our shores now, 6 persons are still missing after a major bridge in the U.S. city of Baltimore has collapsed into the Patapsco River after a container ship crashed into it. The bridge snapped and plunged into the water at about 1:30 local time, along with vehicles and people. Authorities say a huge rescue is underway for the missing persons, while 2 others have been pulled from the water. All of them are believed to be part of a construction crew that was repairing potholes at the time that the bridge collapsed. And a quick touch on sports. Team Nigeria's boxing coaches want the sports ministry to do more for boxing as attention now shifts to the Olympic Games in Paris, having set a new record at the 13th Africa Games in Ghana. And on the last day of sporting action, Nigerian boxers recorded resounding victories in their different categories, winning 8 gold of the 10 finals that they qualified for. Talk about concentrating on our area of strength, and one of which is boxing and of course weightlifting. If you recall how the female athletes have also done Nigeria proud. So much to talk about, starting with what you are saying about all of these big stories. Kade joins me now for a review of trends.
Absolutely, Bukola. Big stories, really, and you've reeled out a lot of them. Nigerians are talking, particularly about the interest rate hike. Well, we call it the interest rate, but we call it the Monetary Policy Committee's decision to hike the MPR, and that has gotten a lot of Nigerians talking. So I think that's a great place to start this morning. For businesses and individuals, the government is trying to rein in inflation, and someone would say that inflation is like one of the tallest buildings in Nigeria. So what the government is trying to do, just by way of speaking, is dig in some more ground so that tall building can keep going down. But the challenge is what happens to those at the ground floor.
But there's been a steady increase in interest rates in the past few months without, meeting at the beginning of the year. Has it helped to bring down inflation? Those are the key questions that we should be asking.
Absolutely. Yeah. So take a look at this one from Israel Omole on X, saying cost of borrowing 24.75%. No businessman
can survive under the circumstances, I guess.
Basically, says the matter will end up in court. And I imagine this is what Israel is trying to say. You borrow the money at a certain rate, perhaps a previous rate, or the one before that. The question is, you now have to pay back at this interest rate. He's saying that, well, it might be tough for businesses.
Very, very tough. This one is from Benedict Ehenemba, and he says, the consumers will still feel the effect of these increments, reduce the dollar rate, and increase the interest rate. How do you help the small-scale businesses to grow? Because banks won't be giving out loans with the limits in their vaults.
There are more questions, really. This one is from AI_Idrisi, saying, I can't fathom how the increase in interest rate could be a way to control inflation. Well, economics, the fundamentals of economics will tell you that trying to mop up excess liquidity is expected to have an impact on inflation. But when you have different dimensions to inflation, you just wonder how far this will go. Maybe it might tackle one angle of it, but the other angles will be tricky to handle. But let's see how this all plays out, definitely.
And this one is from Bobby Russell, who says, just call it 25%. One thing is super sure, there you have it. Businessmen and women will keep borrowing and hope you know what that means. Price will simply keep going up.
Marketer Henry has a similar idea about this. Says this will be counterproductive. Reducing the purchasing power of the people using this method will never work. He says that this monetary policy will not work, I can tell. Well, again, as I say, a bit too early in the day to say, and it's important for the CBN to ensure that every step of the way Nigerians are carried along so they understand what was behind this decision. Yes, the CBN governor gave some insight into this decision to understand how the committee actually works. So it's a committee of people who get to vote whether to increase, to hold, or to cut it down. But the majority had the decision to increase it by 200 basis points.
And the governor, in fact, acknowledged that what would address inflation would be ramping up food security. So,
there you go.
A lot of concentration on the agriculture sector. not just in the coming days, but that has been over time. But where are the results in that regard? And that, brings to mind the infrastructure fund that was launched, which promises to focus also on agriculture. Let's go to another talking point this morning. You're also talking about the accident involving the woman who resolved to travel from Lagos to London, and she posted it on her handle. We saw the videos yesterday, and these are some of your comments to that story. This is sad. I pray Pelumi Nubi is fine. Our prayers and support for her in anticipation of her safety. Indeed, we wish a quick recovery at this time. There you have it. That's the car showing that ghastly accident. Details are still sketchy, by the way, about where exactly the location that the accident occurred. But we can see in some of the videos medical officials attending to the young woman.
Yeah. So she's on a mission from London to Lagos by road, and she's gotten a lot of social media support, but she put up that video essentially asking Nigerians and people generally to pray for her. So this is another one from Selim Sarah saying, after recovering, the journey continues. So that's like a motivation for Pelumi Nubi. She must not give up. No retreat, no surrender. When you cry, you can see, then you must buckle up after recovery. Because I wish you speedy recovery. And I think this is from a generality of Nigerians wishing Pelumi Nubi a quick recovery in this one.
And this next one is from Forever Green, who says, praying actually, God, please preserve Pelumi. She just recently updated of the trouble she went through crossing Liberia border. I wonder if that's after she put up that video about the accident.
I think this was before. Then the video came up. Didn't have a lot to say about it, really, but it's good to see that she's gotten some care, and of course expect to hear from Pelumi. A lot more prayers and best wishes for her. Another one says that I commented on Pelumi's IG that I was worried for her because knowing African roads and the rest, and another prayer from N6 of Life saying, I hope she pulls through okay.
Amen to that. To another subject this morning, bandit and the payment of ransom is another theme that is generating reactions. This first one is from Apostle Michael Olowokiri, who says, I just saw a video where a bandit was flaunting ransom in millions and displaying it on TikTok. Is this what Nigeria has been reduced to? For God's sake, how did we get here? Wow.
So you may have seen this image. A couple of things that need to be verified. The identity, one, the location, and the rest. But you may have also seen this video. And it's gotten a lot of people talking, particularly asking, the questions on your mind, essentially. But this is what a lot more Nigerians have to say about this. Kingsley Monday saying, can you just imagine the effrontery? If this is really one of the bandits that has been kidnapping innocent Nigerians for ransom. And as we said, a couple more things need to be verified about that video, the location, the individual, the source of that money, and the rest. So, but that's a video, just in case you were wondering.
That's quite daring. Well, this next one is from Kingsley Monday. Is it Kingsley that's next, or you've taken that already? Or from Aisholek. Right. That's the next one. Aisholek says, the audacity, God, that's an explanation, I believe, in a country where we have security agencies and a force. These people are living a free life, even enjoying more than someone who's doing legit work. Well, we hope that is only temporary, and the security agents will do the needful to ensure that all of these people are apprehended. That is the hope, really.
Absolutely.
Not just the return of the women and children who are kidnapped, but also, a total destruction of all their enclaves and the arrest of the bandits and kidnappers.
Indeed. Speaking of justice, another story that trended, and you've been talking about, is a court sentence in a Chinese man to death for killing a girlfriend. Remember that story? It trended, and there's been justice now served with a court sentencing him to death. So those are some of the big trends for you. Some of them will form the conversation, some of your comments on that one on the show this morning. So keep them coming in, hashtag CTV Morning Brief. You can do WhatsApp as well. We are here for you to ensure that we have a conversation on the show this morning.
But we're starting off with that conversation, that very important talking point about raising our consciousness, ensuring that we become Nigerians, first of all, before we think of ourselves as people from different parts of the country, and the role of the NOA in actualizing this particular dream. So stay with us for this bit of the program. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Morning Brief. And, we just ended up talking about some of the many challenges that Nigeria has, from insecurity. We can also mention the others, brain drain in the health sector, which is also affecting other sectors. We can also look at the economy, rising cost of commodities. The CBN just increased the interest rate to 24 basis points. And the attendant Japa syndrome as well. So it's an endless count. But where is the National Orientation Agency amid all of this to, articulate the policies of the fairly new administration? We have joining us on the program to discuss just that, the helmsman, the Director General at the National Orientation Agency, Malam L Isa, who joins us from our Abuja studio. Welcome, Malam L Isa. I like your title, by the way, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Malam simply means Mr.
Yeah, thank you for that education. As we start off, we know that it's a fairly new administration, but the challenges are certainly not new. We've been talking about the same issues for a period of time. But what's your vision for the National Orientation Agency under the current administration?
Yeah, well, it's straightforward. All our maladies, all the challenges we are facing in this country are attitudinal. Whether you talk of corruption, whether you talk of banditry, whether you talk of whatever aspect of lawlessness or criminality that you talk about, these are attitudinal issues. And we will continue to talk about it until we address that issue of our national values. We do not have a value system, and we must put one in place. And since 1960, we have never addressed that. If you look at every culture, all Nigerian tribes, take the major ones, take the minor, no matter what level you want to relate with this, every culture, every tribe has its values. And as a country, we must evolve a value system. that is going to be our, guiding light, if you like, our manual, to define ourselves as who we are as Nigerians, and to have that guidance for us to be able to separate people who are not behaving the way a Nigerian should behave, and everybody understand what it is to be a Nigerian. So when we got to office about 4 months ago, the first thing we task ourselves with is to ensure that we put in place a value system. And we've had series of committees, and sometimes in January, the minister received the final report on the National Values Charter. It has to be a charter. There has to be like a social contract between this country and the citizens, so that everybody understand, our responsibilities. So values are very important. We must define who we are, and that is what we have done. And the president is committed to unveiling the values charter anytime soon. And so that is on one aspect. But again, you must engage with the citizens. You cannot wait until you have this in place before you begin to take whatever action we can take. First and foremost, the mandate of NOA is to communicate government policies, programs, and activities. And you need structure. You need platforms to be able to do that. So quickly, as we resumed 4 months ago, we have done a lot to put in place structures and platforms, which include, within the last 4 months, we have put up a TV studio at NOA, a radio studio at NOA. Just last Friday, we issued the first edition of what we call the Explainer. It's an e-newsletter that explains government policies to the citizens, and that was released last week, and it was well received. It was widely circulated, and again, we just about a week ago, also in Kano, the minister launched the NOA mobile app that we call Mobilizer. The mobile app, becomes very essential as a platform to engage Nigerians in a country where about 72% of our population is below the age of 35. So you have the millennials, you have the Gen Z, who constitute the majority, more than 2/3 of the population of this country, to be engaged. And this, you must create the kind of technology that they understand, that they want to relate with, to be able to engage with them. So the mobile app that we just launched, which within the last few days have received a lot of people downloading it, and we are going to have a lot of things to do with Nigerians through the mobile app. So this is one of the platforms that we have just created. And in that, if I have the opportunity, I will speak more to this mobile app, because there are a lot of exciting features in it that will help us to disseminate and communicate government policies and programs, and engage with Nigerians. And also, we are strengthening our feedback mechanism, because part of the mandate of NOA is also to generate feedback for government. And that is why we have enormous infrastructure in terms of our office locations nationwide. We operate 812 office locations in this country. Office in each of the 774 local government, in all the 36 state and FCT and the headquarters. Put together, 812 office locations. So we are now activating all of these structures to be able to engage to the last person in this country. So as we speak, we have built a lot of resources, a lot of data of Nigerians. If you go to NOA today, you can find in any part of this country data about artisanal associations and trade associations. If you want to know the chairman of the Onion Association in any part of the country, we will tell you. The Okada Rider Association, the barber, the tailor, the hairdresser, whatever you talk about, we have amassed this enormous data so that we can engage with Nigerians and we can reach all these people. We're actually developing platforms targeting different segments of the society.
If I may butt in, Mr. Anilu.
Yeah.
Justified, so that we can take as much of your perspective as possible. it's commendable the effort and the zeal with which you've approached the agency from what you reeled out. But sometimes it appears like blinking in the dark, the level of awareness, because a lot of people don't know these things you're talking about. In advertising, they say it's either you feast on people's gullibility by creating a product, or you create a product and make them need that particular product. A lot of people don't know whether the NOA exists with all of this you have said. So what are you doing, especially this Gen Z that are super saturated with loads of other things? How do you get their attention? What are you doing differently besides all of this? Because you can have all this gamut of products, but people are not aware of it. So in terms of awareness, what is NOA doing? Because as we said earlier, it appears the agency is visibly absent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I might have lost you.
You go ahead. If you, I don't know what part of the question.
I got your question. So, see, the first thing we needed to do was to create the platforms to engage with the people. It is true for several years, NOA appeared to have disappeared from the horizon. And within the last 4 months, we've done a lot, first and foremost, to put structures in place and create platforms, technology, and all the tools that we need to be able to engage. But not to be winking in the dark. If you look at our social media engagement in the last 2 months, we have upped the game. This requires a lot of resources. We are managing what we have. And again, earlier in January, we invited a number of advertising agencies in this country to pitch. And we had a very highly resourced committee that met with them at the Transcorp Hilton over 2 days, where 5 of them were selected, and a lot of materials have been designed in terms of jingles to engage, below the line and above the line advertising materials are all ready to be deployed. And even from this week, you'll start seeing all of that. And Channel is one of our choice media. You're going to start seeing all of that roll out. For an agency that has been somewhat abandoned, I won't say the agency was not doing much, but the agency was abandoned. If you go through what the agency has encountered in the last 10 years, you will feel sorry. As important as NOA is, over the years, the government has not paid attention to it. But thankfully, we have a new government in place that is very, very concerned about the issue of attitude, behavioral change. And that's why the Ministry of Information and National Orientation was created. Don't forget that we used to have the Ministry of Information and Culture. So culture was taken out. The president is emphasizing on the need for orientation. And you cannot give people orientation. Like I always tell people, orientation itself is a journey. We must define what the destination is. And the destination is, who do we want to become? Who are we as Nigerians? And that's what the values charter that the president is committed to unveiling is all about. So very soon, you will begin to see all these products play out. It took a lot of time to put them in place. It took, in terms of the personnel to even put together to do all of this, it takes a lot of time. You also need to capacitate the personnel to ensure that they have all the wherewithal within the limited resources that is available. So, but you can be sure that we do not want to just be making semantic noise. We want to actually address this problem or the challenge that we are facing in this country once and for all. And that is to put in place fundamental, charter that defines the role of this country to the citizens and the citizens to the country. I wish I can speak more on the values charter because it's very fundamental to whatever malady that you mentioned in this country.
Right.
We must evolve as a nation, and we can never evolve as a nation if we don't have value system.
Very important point, the values. And I think you have reiterated that point time and again. It shows just how important it is. Ideally, when you talk about this values charter, which of course we look forward to, what should be the case really is that every elected politician should be an official of the NOA, right? Every government agency is an NOA representative in some sense. Every government appointee is an NOA official in that sense, because they are the ones that actually communicate the real values to Nigerians. Is what Nigerians see them do, what they see them say, how they see them carry on, that actually communicates the values. So they are actually the values charter beyond what is written down in any book. And I don't know what work you're doing in that line, because you can be doing all of the fantastic work, but when it comes to who the people see, they see something entirely different. Case in point, Customs recently, there was an investigation done by investigative journalist Isaiah Shoyombo, and, you know, quite indicting of the Customs, at least from the side of the story. And all Nigerians just ask for is, can the Customs come out and give a statement, say, this is not true, or we're investigating this, communicate the value of anti-corruption to Nigerians? But the Customs has been silent, and I can speak to other agencies in that sense. Is that a worry for you, Malam?
Yeah. You are speaking to the heart of the issue now. You see, in a country, as we have said clearly, for you to be patriotic in any country, there must be something that attracts you. Patriotism is like love. There must be an attraction. So you must be motivated to be patriotic. And that takes into consideration what role and how her government agencies and officials are behaving and responding to the citizens, which is, you have just cited the Customs issue. Now, I'm not going to speak to why Customs has not responded, but we have a responsibility in NOA to create platform for agencies like Customs to respond. But as we are today, many of the MDAs, that is the ministries and the agencies, do not even understand what NOA's place is in all of this. There have been many issues that have come up that we try to engage, even with agencies. So it will take time to get all of them on board to realize that NOA is the communicating and the engagement arm of all Nigerian institutions, public institutions. So many of them do not understand this. Those who understand have been engaging with us. But we are creating all this platform for all of them to be able to engage with Nigerians. The president has made one thing clear to us in the communication sector, that is to the Minister of Information and those of us who are in communication, government communication. He said he wants transparency. He wants us to say the truth at all times. He wants us to own up when there are mistakes. And he has demonstrated that. And so we are going to encourage all government officials to just follow that path that the president has set. And that is what would motivate Nigerians to now play their own part and trust government once again.
I know that you really mean to speak to the National Values Charter that you've been referring to, that you said the president would unveil soon. I wonder if it's a recreation of our national ethics as contained in the Constitution, which speaks to discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, religious tolerance, self-reliance, and patriotism. Is it a redefinition of these ethics as contained in the Constitution, or is it something entirely different? Whatever the case is, how will it help, to raise our consciousness as a nation, to think of ourselves as Nigerians rather than as ethnic people from different regions of the country? Because that is the heart of the matter, really. Those ethnic and religious fault lines are exploited time and again, even beyond electioneering periods, by politicians.
Yeah, thank you very much. One, it is not a redefinition. And secondly, it is not an entirely new thing. What we have done this time around, this has been in the Constitution over the years, and I'm sure now that you just read that out, many Nigerians who are watching are just hearing that for the first time. And that's where the problem lies. You don't just put something in a book, including in the Constitution. You must put a life to it. So what we are doing now is to bring what is already in the Constitution, put them in that kind of format that Nigerians can relate with it. But you can also go ahead and begin to reel out what the duties of this country are, including those who occupy positions, and what the duties of citizens are, you must also create structures for nurturing Nigerians to be able to imbibe all these values. So there are no structures. Even some of the structures we had in the past have been taken away. I can go on and give you examples. First and foremost, in those days, in our educational system, we had civic education where people learned ethics and values. That was taken away. So part of what we are doing, we have actually 7 things that we have identified that we are going to do this year as structures for nurturing Nigerians, including those who occupy position of authorities, to be able to be proper Nigerians and behave the way we all should behave. One of such is to introduce nationalism studies that has all this the value system as part of what it offers to students from primary school to the university, so that you learn what it is to be a Nigerian while in school, and it's going to be compulsory subject. So when you graduate from the university and you're given a certificate that says you have been found worthy in learning and character, you have learned, that is the character aspect of it. So that is one of the pillars to nurture Nigerians. Secondly, we use informal and vocational educational system, ensure that we also get these values into that system, and people are nurtured. Because every country must nurture its citizens to be who they are supposed to be. Nigerians are not Chinese. We are not French. We are not Americans. We must be unique. And we must be able to articulate and aggregate all our value system and for everybody to understand it. So I have mentioned one structure. The second structure, I can tell you today, many of us remember what we call Boy Scout, Girls Guide, Girls Brigades in schools those days. That was another institution of nurturing, of indoctrinating citizens to be who they are supposed to be people that enjoy being Nigerians. This has also been taken away. Now we have created a vacuum in the lives of our children in school, and so they are now involved in all sorts of nefarious activities because we are not occupied with positive engagement. So we are launching this year what we call citizen brigades that will just be in the nature of the Boy Scouts that I've just mentioned and the Girls Guides. And we are starting with 37,000, 1,000 per state in primary and secondary school, who are going to be model citizens, children that are going to be raised on values, who would now be model for their peers to copy. You would agree with me if we examine the kind of models we have in this country today. They are not models that are, exuding the kind of values that we can be proud of. So we must deliberately create models, people who are nurtured from that formative, period of their life as model citizens. So we are going to create 37,000. We'll soon announce that once the president unveiled the charter, and then we would begin the process. Then thirdly, our children age 1 to 12 in this country are exposed to all sorts of foreign values through cartoons. All the cartoons are 100% about foreign values. So in the last 3 decades, we have been raising foreigners in our homes. That's why you could see the mentality and the mannerism of our children are completely different from what we used to know. And they never encounter whatever value they need to learn to be proper Nigerians growing up. So we are soon going to be calling for entries from people who are skilled and they have competencies in creating cartoon characters in Nigeria, and we will give them support to produce world-class cartoons about our own local heroes, our victories, our failures, our history, for us to know who we are, and so that in the next 1 year, 2 years, 60% of the content of cartoons that our children are exposed to are about us. You go to Ibadan, you see a 10-year-old boy in Ibadan. He understands the people of New York more than the people of Enugu, because through cartoons he has come to know them. But he doesn't know the people he's going to be in this country with, who are co-citizens like himself. So we must know ourselves, and we must create institutions.
My apologies if I'm a button. We're trying to accommodate as much as possible. So this is why we're interjecting. My colleague Bukola cited Section 23 of the Constitution, which succeeds Section 22 that has to do with our role as a media. And one of the things that we've been struggling with is the issue of nationhood. Nigeria is getting to 70. We've not been able to attain nationhood. And foundationally, somebody said that we're more like a disparate cluster formed into this homogenic template, and we've been struggling, faulty constitution and all of this. So what is your organization or agency doing as an agency to see how you can speak to some of these contentious and vexed issues, i.e. the constitution, the issue of true federalism and restructuring? The last president was accused of lopsided appointment. We're seeing this president also following that path in some instances, and people are saying all of this, which is some of the trigger for some of this disunity and lack of attainment of nationhood, as some people will say.
Yeah. Well, that's a two-in-one question. First and foremost, the basic barrier that we have against, or that is impeding our, emerging as a nation, is because we do not have national values. I won't stop talking about that. Until we evolve a value system that defines us, we cannot be a nation. If you talk of Yoruba now, they have the Omoluabi, which defines their value. The Igbo have their own. The Fulani, Hausa, Nupe, Tiv, Ibibio, whatever, they have values. So we must have values as a nation that will define us. Now, going back to the issue of federalism that you mentioned, I don't know, dead or alive, a better champion of federalism than the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His sojourn, his time as governor of Lagos State for 8 years, was all about standing up for that federalism. And he went to court several times to fight for this. So, and since he got to office, he has taken actions that demonstrated his fidelity to this cause. Just about a few weeks ago, the issue of state police was announced, which is a fundamental part of federalism. Issue of security is very fundamental to our challenges, and having state police that is well structured and well-resourced is very important, So that is federalism. But first and foremost, we must all understand what federalism we are talking about. Is it fiscal federalism? Is it structural federalism? We must also understand all of that. And I'm sure the president is going to be the last person not to be committed to that.
Well, a couple of questions coming in. Apparently, Nigerians are very interested in this conversation around orientation. And this one says, the Value Charter is a duplicate of the National Identity and Ethics Policy developed by, I think, ICPC, NOA, and the OSGF. He says the DG needs to be aware of what has been done. And the other one is talking about awareness and structures. What is a value system of NOA procurement process and staff integrity? Two questions in one. This is from one of our viewers.
Okay, so the integrity that they talk about, ICPC, NOA, and whatever, I'm not sure you are aware of that until somebody is calling your attention to it. And that is the challenge. You cannot say you have created something and put it in a book, and you did not put any structure in place to institutionalize it, to nurture Nigerians about it. I met it, and we have engaged with ICPC because we had a retreat, and ICPC was represented, including the person who is the desk officer on this integrity, whatever. How many Nigerians are aware of anything like that? That is the question. And what has happened to it? In any case, let me assure you, we are not duplicating anything. We are taking all that have been put in place, and from it, in fact, they were the baseline for us to now produce what we have produced. So nothing was jettisoned. We put all of this as part of the resources that we use to sieve what we have come up with. But the difference this time around is not to just produce another book and put it in the shelf. It's to put a life to it. is to create structures that will make it to help this country to get out of with the situation that we have found ourselves. So that is the difference. And we will not be talking of the president unveiling it if it is something to be dumped in the shelf. So it is not the same thing. So whatever, you mentioned the Constitution is already there, the ICPC effort is already there. There are other efforts that we put together as part of the resources that the several committees that we constituted use to create what Nigerians can relate with, and not another effort that would not yield any outcomes. That is the difference.
Sir, you have quite a number of reactions still coming through. Let me just quickly read some of them so you can respond to them.
Somebody said something about procurement. I didn't get that.
I think it's about the procurement process and staff integrity of the NOA itself.
Well, I do not understand what that question is all about. What I understand is...
The question is, what is the value system of NOA's procurement process and staff integrity, the value system?
Well, if we are going to be championing the national value system, it must start with us. And the staff I met in NOA are fantastic Nigerians, committed to their work within the limited space they've been operating. And within the last 4 months, have been to 13 states, meeting with staff, telling them the new direction, and encouraging them that they should not be disillusioned because the agency has been abandoned over decades by government. So, but they are all coming up, and even with what they have gone through, they put in a lot of, very good effort. So, but now we are all getting ready, and they are mobilized, and they understand that they must be the primary ambassadors of the values. So the agency has no issue with that, because you cannot be marketing a product that you do not represent. And the NOA staff understand that quite well.
That's cheery to note. Let me quickly run through the reactions coming through for you, Mr. Onilu. We had moral studies during our time as a nation. We need to domesticate our educational curriculum. That's from Dakpo, from Surulere. Onu Duem from Abuja also says, thanks for initiative for national orientation development. Return the subject history back to our education from primary to tertiary institutions.
And that has been returned, hasn't it?
That has been returned, I believe. Then the last one is from Dave, who says, NOA DG was spot on speaking on a new reorientation strategy for Nigeria. We await him to walk the talk towards creating a lasting value for our great nation. Speaking of which, you kept emphasizing a new value charter. I wonder if you had the time to just mention one or two of what those values would be. Just mention, because we're totally out of time.
Okay, yeah. The value charter has two components. One is what the country is committed to. Because all over over the years, all we have been hearing is citizens must do this, citizens must do this. But the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says, no, the country also has a responsibility. So that's why it's a charter, it's an agreement, it's a social contract, which defines the responsibility of the country. I'm mentioning country carefully, not government. It means that whatever government that we have in place from whatever political party, the role of the government or the country is sacrosanct. So the first component is that of the country, which we call the Nigerian promise. The Nigerian promise has 7 pillars. And that in exchange for these promises that Nigeria is making to every citizen, including a child that is born today, those 7 promises are intact for him. And in exchange for that, the country says the citizens will also need 7 commitments from you.
Okay, so
it's 7 for 7.
7
the country
pillars.
Is giving us 7, and it is
7 promises.
Yeah, 7 pillars of the Nigerian promise and the citizen code. The Nigerian promise has 7 pillars. The citizen code has 7 pillars.
All right.
So the country is giving us 7 and is asking for 7. So it is not one-sided. So that's why it's a contract. And so everybody who finds himself in government, even as a councillor or chairman or governor or president or senator or House of Rep member, understand that he has a responsibility to fulfill those 7 basic promises. And every citizen understand that he has a responsibility to fulfill those 7 basic commitments. And when you put this together, that's why we say orientation is a journey. By the time we put this together, then we have embarked on that journey to nationhood. That's what this means.
All right, thank you so much, Malam Isa Onilu. 7 for 7 sounds exciting, and evidently this segment is inadequate to cover all of those areas such that you can articulate it for Nigerians to understand. We look forward to having you back on the program so that we can hear more and, in fact, touch on other areas. We didn't talk about funding for the orientation agency and all other issues. Malam Isa Onilu, thank you so much, Director General of the National Orientation Agency. Thank you for your time on the program. And up next is the promise of tourism in Taraba State. What's that all about? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Goodness me, did you see those breathtaking images there from here in Nigeria? Yes. Did you see the blue, was that a lake? That water body, so beautiful. Yes, it is here in Nigeria. Those are not images taken outside of the country. They're taken here. Gembu in Taraba State. You also saw the Mambila Plateau in Taraba State. And the list goes on and on. Taraba State, yes, I'm biased. You can say that is such a beautiful place to be. But how well have we harnessed all of our tourism potentials? I'm talking from Taraba in the north to the south to southeast and the rest. How well have we harnessed that? In 2020, Nigeria earned just, $320 million from tourism. That's a far cry from the billions of dollars we should be earning from tourism, because we have all of that potential. But this morning, we're getting deep into that conversation. While you're making plans for your holiday, let's give you some pointers as to where to go to. We have joining us on the show Reverend Joseph Nagombe, who's a commissioner, Ministry of Heritage and Ecotourism in Taraba State, joins us from our Abuja studio. Good morning, Reverend Nagombe. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning, and thank you. I'm here.
I'm tempted to ask you about that necklace. Almost looks like a chief from the southeast, but then you're also a reverend. First, tell us what's going on with your outfit. I'm really intrigued by it.
My outfit portrays a culture. My outfit portrays a culture and heritage. And if you see two necklaces in my neck, you see the white portrays my tribe, and also the tribes of the Mambila and the tribes from Taraba. Also, we have all those things, but because people neglect them and they don't use them, from the north we think it is only in the south or whatever. We have them and people neglected them. So we are trying to introduce, to know that we know the importance of these cultural attires and heritage. So I signifies almost 3 tribes in me from Taraba State. Taraba has almost 80-something ethnic groups. So we have many of these things in Taraba.
Okay, you might want to mention those tribes so we can put it out there. This is also part of, education, really. It's just interesting to see that it's also actually a northern thing to have, these necklaces. In addition to that, let's get into this conversation.
Yes.
And I want us to start with the money talk. How much are we losing by not harnessing all of the potentials in the tourism sector? You can speak to Taraba, then we can maybe talk nationally.
Yes. Actually, as I said, we have over 180 tribes in Taraba. We have the Jukun tribe from the Kororofa Kingdom. We have the Mambila. We have the Mumuye. We have the Kutep. We have the Chamba. We have the Ichen. We have the Ndola. We have the Jibu. We have several tribes and the Hausa Fulani. Some of all these tribes have their necklaces, their attires that they will use, and we can produce, people will buy, and they are part of businesses, and that we can sustain our culture and tourism. And we neglect this thing, and we are losing enough from our own culture, which we're supposed to sustain. So we have all of these things, and you see the nature of the land entirely. It tells you that Taraba has a lot about tourism, especially. Almost every ethnic groups in Nigeria will be found in Taraba because of the nature of our land.
Beautiful, interesting, the little enlightenment that you've put out already about, the tribes in Taraba. That takes us now to the planned resuscitation of the one-year fishing festival. Looking at the images alone, it's very exciting. We saw the massive fish, caught during the last festival 14 years ago, by the way. I'd like you to talk to us about the high points of that festival and what the state government is putting in place to ensure that this one, draws attention not just, from Taraba State, but nationally and internationally.
Once more again, I'm here to introduce to you that His Excellency the Governor of Taraba State, Dr. Agbu Kefas, has moved on to resuscitate and revive the non-Munyo International Fishing Festival in Taraba State. Munyo is a festival that is known in Taraba, that is hosted in Ibi, in the Munyo Lake, Ibi local government in Taraba State. Munyo is a name from the Jukun language, which refers to dangerous animals, aquatic animals, crocodiles, hippopotamus, and we have a lake that retains a lot of species of fishes in Taraba State, in Ibi local government. And since 2010, we hosted the biggest Monyo Fishing Festival, which gave us the biggest catch of 230 kilograms. And today, His Excellency has come to revive this festival. And we are willing to take it to a greater height. You can see in the picture the nature in which the people catch the fish. So we are celebrating the catching of the fish by the grace of God this year on the 19th and 20th of April 2024. It will be a great occasion that people would like to come all over the world to see the type of fishes, the nature in which our people catch the fishes, how we use the fishes. So we want to call on the attention of the world to know that Taraba has a lot of species of fish found in the Ibi Lake. It's a historical lake that retains a lot of species of fish, naturally, that you can come and see. So Monyo Fishing and Cultural Festival will have a lot of cultural display, a lot of animals that will come up, especially the hippopotamus. You will see them physically. Monyo Fishing Festival is coming up this year.
So looking at the pictures when Kayode started this segment, as I was looking at the picture, it was both beautiful and almost quite painful, because the natural question that crosses one's mind is, why should Taraba be broke if, let me rephrase now, Taraba should never be broke. That's what I said. That's what I wanted to say. Taraba should never lack money, so that I'm not quoted out of context. Because we look at your debt profile, $28 million in debt, in foreign debt, 81 billion naira in local debt and all of this. And I don't know how much of attraction you've been able to garner from foreign investors or even local investors to be able to promote all of these things you're talking about. So walk us through a bit of a roadmap, because what I was trying to say is that Taraba should never lack money. With what we saw here, when you talk about diversifying the economy. So what is the roadmap to ensure that this is explored and as much money comes in as possible?
You can see that the government just came in recently with the coming of His Excellency Dr. Abu Kefa. There is a roadmap on the ground already. You can see that this is a festival that used to bring a lot of money to the state. But because it was abandoned, he came and revived it, and we are preparing toward this. From this preparation, you know that it's a step forward that we are going to make a bigger difference. And he has also discovered that one of our problems is the airport. He has also gone on to work on the airport to make sure that it is steady, to make sure that people are coming, going out. So our bigger challenge in Taraba is the road. And as he has put a step for the airport, and also trying to revive these festivals that brings the people to come and go out, we are going to make a big difference. Within 8 months to 9 months now, you will see that if you are in Taraba, you will see a lot of changes that are going on. So we believe that with the educational setting also he has put on ground, that there's free education, which brings in a lot of people from outside. And we feel that we are going to make a very big difference from what is happening. Taraba has the potentials. And also, we are bringing up a strategic framework that will introduce to the federal government that Taraba is one of the best states that has the tourism potential, which if developed, we are going to make Nigeria entirely different, not only Taraba itself. So that is why we set up this festival for the nation to come to Taraba, to see the facilities that we have, the natural endowment that we have, that the nation will not have to go anywhere than to put in a load into Taraba for us to survive this nation, either in agriculture, either in the tourism. We have the Gembu that has less than 12 degrees Celsius, which everybody in the world can live in Sadona local government, in Gembu. That's where we go for holidays, not in Europe. So we want people to come for these festivals to witness the land. So we're happy to see that this festival will bring people all over the world to witness the land of Taraba for us to develop it together.
I know that Taraba has one of the largest parks in Nigeria, the Gashaka-Gumti National Park. So let's talk about the elephant.
Sure.
Not the elephant in Gashaka-Gumti, but the elephant in the room now, which is security. I mean, a lot of people want to come to Taraba. They literally want to spend their whether summer, short holiday in Taraba because of the images, some of them we've shown on the screen now. But they see reports of insecurity from time to time, and they worry. I mean, insecurity is the enemy of tourism. So speak to us. Is Taraba safe enough for tourism? What kind of security is in place?
Surely we know that there is insecurity in the nation, but I want you not to forget that our governor is a soldier and security strategist, and we are putting every machinery. And if you look at when he came in as a governor, the security challenges has dropped so scarcely because he stood to fight the insecurity very, very seriously. So we are very sure and very comfortable now that insecurity in Taraba is reducing, and we are going to give our tourists every security protection. It's one of the key factors that we plan out before making available some of these programs. You will come to Taraba, you will be safe, and no problem, and by the grace of God, nothing will happen. So Taraba and the Gashaka-Gumti National Park is in the southern part of Taraba, and we are making everything possible to protect that nothing will happen to any tourists in Taraba. We give our tourists a very good security backup. And by the grace of God, the governor has worked beyond expectation to manage the security situation.
In addition to that, there's more on security besides security concerns in Taraba State itself. First of all, I'd like you to answer to this one, whether or not the security concerns for which this festival was suspended in the first place have been addressed. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, still on security, you know, it's not just for international tourists, but also encouraging local tourism within the country itself. What is the state government doing, perhaps in partnership with other states, to address security within the country, to encourage participation by other Nigerians in this festival? Because for some Nigerians who may want to travel to Taraba for vacation, for instance, they may not be able to afford a local flight, but may want to travel by road, but then they're discouraged about insecurity traveling by road.
But if you see, Ibi local government is closer bordered with Jos Plateau State, which is closer to Abuja here. And we know that if you leave Lafia, it will take you about 20 to 30 kilometers. You are in Ibi. So you can move from any part of the state to be there. We will partner with the border state to intensify security checkpoints in all the ways that lead to Ibi local government, that leads to Taraba. We will partner with this state to make sure that if you are living as far as you arrive a state bordered with Taraba to get to the Munyu Lake in Ibi local government, the security checkpoints will be tied to make sure that our local tourists have access to get to the Ibi local government for this festival. This festival will welcome people nationally and internationally. We have also prepared that every jet or whatever can land in the Munyu Lake, that people that will come from the presidency and whatever, but we will work on our roads to intensify security checkpoints, to beef security checkpoints, so that our people, even within the state, every local government road that leads to Ibi local government, on the 18, 19, and 20, we'll have a more stronger security checkpoint. And we know that some of these securities are external people. They are not almost within. They can only get 1 or 2 people within our community to lead them through. As far as we know they are external, we know where they're located, we are also putting up security strategies to scare these people away before that day. We want this day to be a great day for people to come to see Taraba. So we will not joke with the security analysis we are putting on to make sure that our people are safe.
This conversation is also beyond Onyo Fishing Festival. It's when we look at the pictures we're seeing from Taraba, it's just breathtaking. And we can't stop referencing those pictures, given the fact that some Nigerians don't even know these things exist. So advertising and promotion is quite critical. What is the government of Taraba State doing in collaboration with the Ministry of Art, Culture and Tourism to ensure that this is explored as much as possible in case there are constraints at state level that the federal government can key in to help, just like it does in other forms of interventions?
Yes, the state government is doing very well because last year, November, I attended the stakeholders meeting with the National Council for Art and Culture, deliberating on how we can be able to re-strategize Arts Council after 35 years. And also with the Tourism Board, we have discussed at length with the federal government. Presently, we are preparing a meeting with the federal government in May for every state to come up with the tourist sites, tourist attractions, and the modality in which the federal government will develop those sites for the benefit of Nigeria in terms of tourism. We have outlined the tourist site we have in Taraba, which Monyo Lake is included. We have also put the Kashimbila Dam, we have the Gembu Sadona local government, we have the Gashaka Gumti National Park, we have the Zing rocks, and we have the Chapal Wadi, one of the tallest mountains in West Africa. We have these places being outlined. We will give our own analysis on how this tourist site will be developed for the benefit of Nigeria. And I am sure Taraba will make one of the best presentations to the nation in the May meeting with the Minister of Tourism in order for us to revive tourism in Taraba and will take the place of oil in terms of revenue generation.
I like that.
I like that. I'm tempted to say amen to that, but I know it's a lot of work. Well, we can talk about the places to see, but also there's the taste of Taraba tea. For those who love Taraba, or tea generally, some of us, some of them are here, by the way, and listening to us.
And coffee too, by the way, Kayode.
And coffee, right. Yeah. So there's also that kind of attraction in Taraba. But when you said earlier on that, you're welcoming people, I wonder if you're saying that as a matter of urgency, that people can begin to come to Taraba State today. So if I were to be a tourist planning my trip right now, where would you advise me to go to in Taraba? What would you advise me to eat, taste, and all of that as we wind down?
I would like you to come to Gembu Sardona local government. You will eat some pears, you will take some tea, you will take guava, you will take some pineapples. We will even give you some traditional cohesion that you have never tasted. And you may not even have the names in your language because you don't have it in your place. But we have in Taraba. I would also like you to come and see the Gumshi National Park, where you will see elephant, where you will see tiger. Recently, in some of our publications, you discover that we have discovered groups of tiger in Gashaka Gumti National Park, following the good work of national investors, ANI, that are doing, and we have a lot of protections of those animals. And today, tiger are there in Gashaka Gumti National Park, which is my village. I'm from Gashaka local government. So I would like you to come and see those animals you have never seen and eat some of the natural fruits that just are in the bush which you have never tasted. So these are areas I would like you to come. Come and see the hills, see the weather, and I'm sure that Taraba is a good place. You can come to spend your Easter holidays. So Taraba is a good place.
Bukola, Jeffrey, that's an invitation for us to the morning brief team.
Maybe they can take us to one of those places to host a show.
Right.
Like we have so many places we need to go and host the show outside of the stadium. Maybe outside of the studio, I should say.
Fantastic. Some of these places look forward to coming over and have a taste. This is part of national orientation, really. It's a conversation we'll be having. But I'd like to thank you so much, Reverend Joseph Nagombe, who's the Commissioner of Ministry of Heritage and Ecotourism Taraba. Said thank you for sharing the beauty of Taraba State with us. The nation is beautiful, absolutely. But thank you so much for the work you're doing. Wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nigeria is a blessed nation. We have the resources, both natural and human. We'll turn our attention to one of those human resources doing great things nationally and globally with music. You do not want to miss this. Stay with us right here on The Morning Brief.
Welcome back. His name is Preye Odede. Joins us right here in the studio. Superstar, gospel singer, and of course, an amazing gentleman. He's done quite a lot in this business. Welcome, Preye, to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here, and so good to see every one of us live, you know.
It's good to see you live too, by the way.
Yeah. It's been a long journey for you, and it's quite incredible how you got this far. But before we talk about your journey, let's talk about your curiosity or how you craft the title of your songs. We know you're from Bayelsa State, but your song Bulea Ebezina Oshimiriata, what's going on?
You know, I always get this, and first of all, thank you for having me. And it's so good to be on Channels TV. Everybody was such a beautiful place. See the seats, see everywhere. So cool. And so good to actually meet you, you know, one-on-one, and every one of us. So, Ebezina, I schooled in Abia State University. So that actually got me closer to a lot of Igbos, and of course from my church then, Assemblies of God, you know, we had a lot of Igbos as the domineering, members in the church. So somehow I got to learn, you know, the Igbo language. As at that time too, it was easy to communicate some of these words. You know, they are words. If you can't say you want to call God Osimiriatata, it makes more sense. If you say the river that never runs dry, it doesn't really carry the weight, you know. But when you say Osimiriatata, you can actually feel it. So yeah, the background came from my schooling days and of course church.
And besides music, you're also deploying your skill or your reach to young people. We see that you're doing something for children as well, renovation of schools, getting them from the streets to the school. What informs this? You have a personal love for children, or it's just a way of doing some corporate social responsibility from Preye Odede?
Okay, outside being part of corporate social responsibility, when I was growing up, it wasn't really good. I started serving people when I was really young. You know, I didn't really have the opportunity to go through the very basic, like the basic education from my secondary school. I dropped out when I was in GSS 3, so I had to start all over again, like going through extramural classes before I wrote my JAM and all of that. So it was really difficult as a very young boy, you know, babysitting, you know, taking care of kids, houseboy basically. And I lived in the market for a very long time. It was difficult for me to go to school. And so when I grew up, I said I was never going to see people like kids on the street. So each time we organized some of these meetings, like we had one in a place in Port Harcourt called My One Market. So we went there, saw, you know, when we started the concert, we saw people coming out, kids begging. So we had to reach out to some of these, their parents, and then roofing of the school and renovation, you know, we went to a school and we saw that it was leaking. You know, we just went for one of these outreaches and we saw it was leaking, and these students were almost naked. no uniforms, and we saw some of the kids, so we decided to, provide sanitary pads for the girls and uniforms for the kids, and then decided to roof the school too.
And these are from your own personal resources?
Of course.
Wow.
Of course.
I think you have such a phenomenal story. Your music is phenomenal, inspired, definitely. But your story is even touching, and I never knew this, and it's quite interesting. I think you should do a session and just share your story. So, because a lot of people will then be able to resonate with you and say,
absolutely.
wait a minute, I see myself in him. So if he can do such great things, I can also make it. And I think that's why we have people like you on the show, so we can share your inspirational story. But I'm tempted to ask this question. I know there's always the dilemma for gospel artists. After a while, you think, should I add some secular into this music so that I can reach out to more people with the gospel, in quote? Did you ever have that dilemma, people saying, add some secular to it? Because you're just reaching a few people, but if you do this and do that, you reach more people. Is that something you had to battle and then make a decision?
I would never call it a dilemma, because I've never been in that position. I've heard people tell me, oh, can you do this? But then when it comes to the gospel music, it brings life. When you talk about secular music, it's like taking in something. So no offense, okay? So no disrespect. It's like taking in something, after a while it fades off. But the gospel music comes with life. You can imagine someone telling you, hey, I was sick of cancer and I was healed while you were ministering. There is nothing that can be compared to such a testimony. So I've never been in that position where I want to reconsider my stand. Sometimes people ask me, why gospel music? And I ask, why not gospel music?
I can see the way you're vibrating as you're responding to that question. Almost like we want to get into another session. But it's phenomenal. So you're saying that for those who maybe consider that, because after a while they see that they're not really making it in quote, so they say, okay, maybe there's a call for me to branch into the market. I don't know.
When you say making it, so I would want to ask, so making it, because some people tend to define making it as, the returns financially. Of course, that's also something we have to look into. That encourages one to do stuff, making money, returns, and all of that. But then, I think for us, making it is actually the impact, the souls you reach out to, the people lives that have been transformed. I think it brings it gives more fulfillment, maybe, to be compared to making. I don't know what you mean by that, but then
now we're going to go back to how you got here in the first place. So, because it's important, it's a show that we try to reach out to a lot of young people, and the only way to make this happen is to follow someone's story. So we're going to play this particular song. Ebezina is one of, I'll call it introduction song for Preye Odede. Many years ago in the city of Port Harcourt. Let's take a listen. And today, he's gone on to do several other songs. Preye, that song has a lot of story behind it. You shared a bit of it, but tell us about the journey on how you got here and what inspired that particular song, Ebezina.
I've shared this story a lot of times, and okay, let me go again. So then, like I said, I served. I was someone's houseboy then growing up. So when I came into a church, Assemblies of God, then I was living with the security. So at that point, we wash machines, bike outside, and then somehow it was really, really, really terrible. We didn't have a place to stay. By that I mean my family, and we were living in one batch. I wish I give you that picture. I saw it online. We were living in one batch, so the police came and they said it was illegal. It was in the police barrack, so they put it down. So we're just running. That was how I went to church. I was staying in church like that, and it was still in church while we were just rehearsing. This song came, Ebezina. It came in English actually. Don't you cry, God is close. As at that time, they just evicted us from the batch we were staying. It was just a room, just evicted us. And I went to church. Then I just finished my youth service from Sokoto State. running back to Sokoto, just to go stay. I went back to stay with the coppers in their coppers lodge, Winners Chapel Coppers Lodge. So where I was going, I missed the first bus, and that day was sanitation. That was my last money, the last. So I went back to church. The next day I was crying, like I was leading worship. I was crying, and somebody met me and said, what do you do? I was blessed by your administration. They thought it was the anointing, but I was really broken. And she said, come see me. So I went to the house. She thought I actually studied engineering, and she introduced me to her husband, working in an oil company. He was one of the managers. So cut the long story short, I got a job in the oil company. It's multinational, actually. Please don't say it. So I got the job, I started working, and that was how I recorded the song. No, before I recorded the song, the first time I was on that journey, like I went to the rig. We were on transit, and I saw my mom. She was walking, and then I just called her, Mommy. I was in this bus, and she was like waving, like she was broken basically, but she was really excited. And then that was the first time. And then she came to Port Harcourt. Then I just got my first apartment toilet. We didn't have a toilet, so we used to take it to the waterside, like to just use a bucket, take to the waterside. One of those days I was arrested. Like I was, soiling the sea and polluting the environment, and she entered the house and she saw the visitor's toilet, and she went and she was just crying. She was so excited because that was the first time in a long while she was getting to experience, water system, as we used to call it. So that was how Ebezina came. It was just a consolation song for me. Don't worry, everything is going to be okay. And I was singing it in church like that during the wedding. I was singing in church during the wedding, and then someone said, let's just go record, and I recorded it. Then that was when you guys helped me and put it on radio, and that was how the song came about. I didn't record the song because I wanted to make money, and then I started working. I had a good job after then, so I was working, but of course after a while I had to resign so I can do this full time.
Wow.
So you resigned from the oil company.
That's a powerful story. And it's quite revealing about the messages from your song. Either it's Ebezina or Oshimili Atata, or the one that we played earlier on. It's always about, tiring in the face of adversity and the power of God, to pull through. And it brings me back to Kade's earlier question, about the pressure, to maybe branch out to secularism. Perhaps you could get a bigger audience. But we've seen amazingly how, some other artists in the secular mainstream branch out or specialize, that's the word, into gospel. And we can mention a few of them, even a Fuji artist, long-time Fuji artist doing gospel, and we find his video online. Speak to this about the power of the message, of gospel music, so to speak. And do you see many more of that type of specialization happening in the coming days?
And first of all, I would want to say that gospel music is not a means to an end. I feel it is a life that we live, and there's this saying, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. And I also feel again that most of the people, moving from one point to the other, they just like cross-carpeting like politicians. It's like you don't know, you were not called. Do you understand? You were not actually called. And I see a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people come in here, and these people, I don't think they understand what we're doing. Some of us are not chasing. We're not chasing funds. We're not chasing this fund. That is why sometimes some persons are satisfied. Yes, it's good to know that people sing your songs. Like you go for meetings. Like I just came back from Kumasi. Was it yesterday? So I decided to stay back for this meeting. It was really good when you see thousands of people, singing to songs like that. Really, really good. But then there's a calling. They say the scripture says that the gospel of Christ to some is foolishness, but to us it is a power unto salvation. Getting this understanding that salvation does not mean, you just know Jesus. It covers everything, your health, every other thing. So when you have this understanding, it keeps you going. There is no point, trying to go. In fact, the audience itself is not about people vibing to the song. The audience is actually in the retainership. When you have people staying back, not because this song is actually trendy, like this is what is trending right now, and people listen to it. After a while, it goes. But the gospel, there are some songs that were written long ago, some songs that people wrote but never sang. Songs like I Know My Redeemer Lives. It was Job. Job was the original writer of the song. He said, though he slaved, I know my Redeemer lives. And a certain musician came up and said, I know my Redeemer lives. The song started selling out. If Job were to be alive, maybe he would have been claiming royalties for that song. So the gospel music is everlasting. It is eternal. You know, it doesn't. There's no.
At this point, I wish I could trace my my history back to Job and claim the royalties for him. That's just a joke. But you know, it's quite interesting that, I mean, what you're doing is sometimes different from what people see. So you're projecting the gospel, you're singing, but people see Preye and they're thinking, handsome man, husband material. Yes, you know the question, you know where I'm going to.
Yeah, so, I do.
I know of recent, you had to deal with someone who said, in fact, let me read it, let me quote it. He said, Preye Odede own the tires. How can Oga Preye be single till date without marriage? And this came off, you know, some of the things we've seen, and people saying, why are gospel artists, first of all, why are they importing, you know, in that sense? So, I mean, it's something you obviously have to deal with a lot. And this is not a question, this is just putting something out and allowing you to respond to it before I get in trouble again.
So are you also going outside?
Are you going to import?
Okay, you can answer it the way you want.
Well, you know, I don't want to sound religious, but as many as that are led by the Spirit of God, the sons of God. So those people are led where they see the thing, and that's where they're settling. And you know, picking a wife is for people is very important because of what we do. You know, you don't just speak and just get married like that because you want to be in the number. I haven't said that. I'm trying to see how I can, but to sound somehow, but you know, I try to dodge this thing because by the time I leave this place, Haba is going to be a lot.
Yeah, because Theophilus went to Jamaica, surprising, and Bliss went to Ghana.
Ghana is backyard here.
Well,
Tim Godfrey went to Nigeria, but
I know these
America.
guys they travel a lot and meet people. And wherever you find peace and wherever you find fulfillment, you just
have you found that peace and fulfillment? That's what a lot of people actually want to know.
I think I will have to pass.
Okay, just as
if there's a she'll be disappointed right now.
No.
He has the right to be quiet if he wants to be, but I'm sure she's watching. There is one. Just as we begin to wind down, let's talk. You mentioned it in passing, but we need to help those who are struggling with the dilemma that Kayode mentioned. I know beyond music, you have businesses that you do, which, you know, helps you to stay afloat and all of that. But those who don't have, who say, look, this is my calling, this is all I have to do. Divinity spoke expressly to me and all of that, and they don't have anything to fall back to. What is the advice?
I think, you know, one of the things that puts people out there and you start feeling frustrated is when you do not have something to do. You know, before music, that's why I started by saying this gospel music is not a means to an end. You know, it's a life, it is a calling. Some of us, for me, I have, apart from working before and resigning, you know, I have a fashion brand. You know, we make clothes. I'm a tailor, in other words. Yeah, so I learned how to. No, this wasn't made by me. But most of it. Okay, if you can watch the screen now, or Kaka, most of whatever we're wearing there, everything was made from the female, the suit, everything was.
That's Mercy Chinwo.
Yeah, that's Mercy. Actually, you know, the Abizin, the other lady that was acting Tracy was supposed to be Mercy as a dead. She was on the way to the location.
That time
she had Mercy has always been a big, you know, a big fish. And she was on traffic before she came. The makeup artist just took up that role. Anyways.
Oh, really?
Yes, for the Abes in our song. So, yes.
Fashion business.
Yeah, so I actually make clothes for a lot of people, you know, and I wear myself basically most times, and for all of my events I always wear script clothiers. So outside that, I used to have script clothiers.
Okay.
So outside
clothiers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Outside that, I have these guys, you know. We started with waste management from cradle to grave, where you go pick up waste and take it to a particular dump site. You know, some persons do not even know how to, to segregate their waste and also take it to the dump site. How you can bag your waste, segregate them properly, and take them to the dump site. So that's kind of stuff. Interlocking. When it comes to painting, I learned how to paint, so I learned to screed,
chain of business,
screed and paint. So all of those. So I do all of those things.
So you're a painter,
yes,
a fashion designer, a singer, waste manager.
You're single. Awesome. Okay, that's not it. I'm sorry. How did that come?
All right. So as we wind down now, tell us about the No Restriction album that you just released.
Okay,
and you're going to do a tune for us also. Okay, so No Restriction album, I got that inspiration during COVID. That was why we called it the No Restriction. So we're just indoors, and it was somehow difficult to reach out to a lot of people. We started recording. I have a studio, by the way. So the studio is actually, that's where I have the studio. So that, people come to, I have a recording studio, I have a rehearsal studio. So I have people living there. So we have those apartments where you have people coming to work. So then we started recording the songs, and after the whole lockdown, we had to do a live recording. So that was how No Restriction came about. Recorded about 14 songs, and so that's the No Restriction album. I don't know, because of time, I see that we're trying to.
We just want to hear something.
Just want to hear that voice.
High octane.
So I think we just released a song, the one I featured, Mercy Chinwo. That's one of my favorite songs.
That's the camera.
Yeah, so that's my camera. You've never lost a battle. Oh. How can you start now? Ooh, you have been healing the sick. Oh, how can you stop now? Then the next part says, who can stand against your mighty God? No one, great one of Israel. Oh, Kaka. Hey. Your name is greater than all names. Mighty and glorious are your works. Oh, Kaka. Mighty God. Before the battle starts, you already won it for me. Oh, Kaka. Mighty God. Before the battle starts, you have won it for me. So that's it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I felt that. Preye Odede, superstar, songwriter, singer, musician, businessman, still single, by the way, just in case. But hey, we love you, and we appreciate all the work you do. We are super excited on your journey. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nigerian ladies, don't worry. We're putting pressure on your behalf so that Preye doesn't import. Thank you so much for watching the program. We'll be back again tomorrow with another super duper edition of the Morning Brief on Channels Television. I am Bukola Kooker.
Well, no pressure. Preye has the right to choose from wherever he wants to choose from. Just have a great life, that's all. Thank you for watching. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma.
Go be the very best you've been made to be. I'm proud of you. Goodbye.